Welcome to another edition of Bases and Balls with my good friend Guardians broadcaster Jim Rosenhaus. Update brought to you by Nika IBEW. Well, Rosie, let's get to the point of the COVID-19, the cancellation of Wednesday afternoon's game. I saw the cancel come down. I said, it's beautiful in Chicago. What's going on here? But then we had some sort of COVID outbreak. What do you know? And what can you tell us and translate to us about what happened?
It was just a weird day, Ray. It's kind of gone along with how we've been since March of 2020. I guess it's still something that we have to be aware of, and it can impact your daily routines and lives and things like that. So yesterday when we got to the ballpark and I guess around 10:30 or so, they sent a text up to the booth saying that Tito wouldn't be able to manage today and that he had, I can't remember if they had said he had tested positive at that point, but, and then, it kind of just picked up from there. And all of a sudden, we were watching players playing catch and stuff, but we kind of heard some rumblings that they were doing some testing of the other coaches, and there was a chance that maybe the game would not be played. And then all of a sudden you looked out and there were no more players playing catch, and they were all, I guess they had all gone inside and had a meeting and things like that to just explain what was going on. And Major League Baseball, I think, just felt because of the contact tracing and the amount of tests from the staff and coaching side of things that had come back positive, it just wouldn't be a good idea to go ahead and try and play the game with some uncertainty hanging over it. So they made that decision to postpone.
Okay, so then the trip to Minnesota, everybody got on plane, and I don't know how that happened, but what can you tell us? Is the team ready to go for the Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday games?
I can't say with 100% certainty. The group there, I think it was somewhere between 7 and 10 of coaches and support staff that tested positive. They did not travel with us to Minnesota. They stayed behind in Chicago, and I believe they'll be heading back to Cleveland at some point, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But the rest of the players, and there were no players in that group that stayed behind. The players were all on the flight, and then the support staff that was okay all came up to Minnesota, and we're here. If everything stays the same, I don't know if anything's going to happen today, but if everything stays the same, there's no reason that we wouldn't be able to play tomorrow night. Now, depending on which coaches are a part of those who stayed back, in addition to Tito, they might have to get some personnel in here from a coaching staff standpoint from the system, be it AAA or below or Rovers, that type of thing, to run the club. But outside of that, I think we'll be okay. But again, I don't know what's going to happen today in terms of anything else from a player standpoint.
That's the world of COVID that we've grown used to the last couple of years. Things change almost on an hourly basis in this world of this virus. Well, Rosie, let's change gears here. You mentioned the players. And one of the guys I wanted to talk about this morning was Ahmed Rosario. He came to this organization, shortstop, and then we saw a little outfield last year. He even volunteered to go to center, and now he's volunteered to go to the outfield. He continues to produce for us. This guy's a throwback team ball player. What's best for the team? You see him day in, day out. Talk about this guy.
Well, it's encouraging, and it's interesting, Ray. He's going out to left because some good things have developed on the infield that if he can handle left field and hit the way he did last year, it makes the team better. So we'll see what happens. He had a bad drop in the opener of the series in Chicago on Monday, but then was okay Tuesday. And, we really haven't seen him play like a week's worth or 10 days worth of games in the outfield. Maybe if he gets that chance, he'll smooth out there and everything will be fine. But he's starting to heat up at the plate again, very similar to last year when the calendar turned to May, and he was one of the hottest hitters for a while. So that's starting to happen, and that's exciting. And as you mentioned, you have to have the willingness to do it. A lot of players might go out there and, hey, go change positions. All right, that kind of reaction. But he's like, okay, yeah, wherever you need me, I'll go do it, and he'll give you a great effort every time. So I hope it works out for him, because I know his teammates really enjoy having him here, and he's a positive on this team. So you hope it works out.
Well, you mentioned things developing in the infield. Let's talk about Jimenez. How, boy, what a difference a year makes with this guy. He's just playing terrific. You got Owen Miller, who is just coming on like gangbusters, and oh, by the way, Josh Naylor is kind of fortifying himself in the lineup, whether it be right field or first base. But going forward, you could have a Naylor, Miller, Jimenez, and Ramirez infield, which looks pretty good. I think that's what you're meaning when you're talking about developments.
Yeah, and I think Tito is so good at moving players around and creating versatility. But I think every manager likes to have some stability at key spots, and especially your double play combo, and just being able to have some stability and consistency in terms of who you're playing at key positions. And if he can lock down that infield or that group you just mentioned, I think that would bode well, and we'll see how it goes. But Jimenez development here the first month plus of the season has been a big key to that. And we saw it in some spurts last year, but not consistently. He's been going the other way. He's got some pop in his bat. He's got a little power, but if he tries, how many times we say this about every player, I think in baseball, if they try to hit home runs, that's when they get in trouble. But when he just stays with his natural swing, it really works well for him. And defensively, he's made some unbelievable plays. So that's really fun to watch. And again, they're giving him a chance now. They're moving Rosario out to left field and really giving Jimenez a chance to play some shortstop.
We're talking bases and balls with Guardians broadcaster Jim Rosenhaus. Brought to you by Nika IBEW. Rosie, before I let you go, talk about the Twins. So on the schedule for the weekend, it's a first place team in our division. They pushed the chips to the center of the table going into this year. They made some roster additions and spent some dollars. Talk about this Twins team.
They did. And I think the biggest surprise for the Twins is they're doing it with pitching. Their pitching is some of the best in baseball right now, especially their starters. They've gotten through their rotation, and unexpectedly with some unfamiliar names. But also, you mentioned they made some moves, brought in Sonny Gray here, and some others to help shore up that rotation. But that's what's really carried them. They've had some ups and downs scoring runs. They may have one of the most exciting players in baseball when he's healthy, and that's Byron Buxton, who's off to a great start. So some things are clicking for them, and they're off to a real good start. And I know they've had some tough years here with expectations very high, and it didn't pan out. Maybe this is that year where it does, because it looks like they're a handful for a lot of teams so far.
Guardians broadcaster Jim Rosenhaus, bases and balls. WAKR. Rosie, thank you for making time for us again. We'll reconnect next Friday. We'll look forward to the calls this weekend in Minnesota. Thanks, Rosie.
You got it, Ray.